What's up, guys? Rockstar here. Been a while since I made a video and done any streaming or anything, and I apologize for that. Computer was busted and took several tries to get it fixed, but hey, it's done. I'm back. Hopefully I'll be able to stream again soon. But I wanted to put this video out with this really ridiculous game that I just played against Mimi Moinan. French, I guess? I don't know. But really incredible comeback. I was literally down, I think, 57-7 or something like that. You'll see in the video. But I really wanted to go over it and sort of break down where the mistakes were made on my opponent's part, the pretty darn big mistakes I made on my part too, and just let you know, hey, never give up on a game. All right? So let's take a look. We're all ready. Here, boom. Let me turn the volume off there. Okay, so opponent plays 2 trade, picks up a patrol bot. Pretty standard. Patrol bot is usually significantly better than an explorer, even though it is weighted, but it does scrap. So pretty good play. I guess an argument could be made for storage silo. It's a base, it heals, but in this case, patrol bot is definitely the best play. Anywho, moving on. Alrighty. So let's take a look at what I do. I've got 4 trade. In theory, right, I could go Falcon Spike Pod, I could go Orbital Platform, I could go 2 Explorers, but I decided that I wanted to get a scrap edge right away. I went ahead and bought the patrol bot, leaving me with 3 trade, which would then also allow me to get an orbital platform if I so choose, or a falcon if I so choose. Orbital platform is a very good card. It allows you to get an additional draw. It's a cheap base. Oftentimes it soaks 4 damage. Plus there's a falcon out there. Maybe I can combo the 2. And I would have a scrapper, so this would give me a chance to draw into said scrapper faster. Probably a good play on my part. I think that's probably the best play. Let's see what I end up doing. So, little change of plans. I decided to go for trade here. Arguably not a bad play. I think orbital platform was probably the better play. My opponent did buy a scrapper, and so I definitely want to get a scrapper myself. I don't know. I think an orbital platform would have soaked more damage, so I feel like that was a bit of a misplay on my part, but getting 3 trade is good. Usually you want to look at the trade row, and if there's big stuff out there, then that would make you want to buy trade more often. Right? That would skew you more towards trade because, hey, look, I can flip that trade into something really big. But you notice everything out here except for Death World is less than 4. So I don't really need trade right now. What I need to do then is start acquiring other things that do different stuff. Attack, heal, scrap, whatever. I don't necessarily need the economy right now. And Death World didn't even come out until I bought Trade Hauler. So I do feel like this was a bit of a misplay on my part, but not terrible. Maybe I'm playing for the future. But I do believe that you could count that as mistake number 1. Yeah, and so let's see what my opponent does. 5 trade on the board. So given the fact that my opponent bought a scrapper, I think best thing to do here is probably go storage silo patrol cutter or storage silo orbital platform. Argument could be made for both. I think the double blue is a better combo. You've already got another scrapper, and since it's a patrol bot, you can utilize an econ strategy here. So that would be sort of my play. Let's see what he ends up doing. Yeah, so he ends up doing that. So I'm sitting on 4 trade. I've got an opponent with a lot of econ now. If they get any other red, I've got an opponent potentially sitting on 2 scrappers. I've got 4 trade. What should I do? Well, 2 explorers, not a bad idea. I could fight econ with econ, right? I bought a trade hauler, so I've got pretty good econ. Now there's some bigger things out here. So An argument could be made for me to go econ, which I think is probably the right thing to do, or to go orbital platform. Falcon is not the right choice here. It is a consideration, but I wouldn't take it. So I think either orbital platform or double explorer, and I would lean towards double explorer being a better choice here. And I get orbital platform. See, so you could argue that was probably a mistake too. So I've already made 2 mistakes on 3 turns. This one is a little iffy. I think this one is kind of a wash, but I still would call it a mistake. You know, that's definitely a just kind of a buy in a vacuum instead of thinking about what my opponent has and what my opponent's trying to do. So I think that was a mistake on my part. My opponent has 3 trade, picks up a falcon, perfectly fine play. Right? It cycles, it's a yellow. Maybe he can get one of these yellows later on. He has a weak turn, so to speak, but he's bound to have his turn like that. So unfortunately, I'm sitting on. All right, so we play that. We cycle the Viper. So why am I cycling the Viper? Maybe to go Skeef and Explorer. Hopefully, I get some trade. I can definitely play this. Try to get rid of Incinerator and Supply Depot, which are the 2 most threatening bases. Since he's going econ strategy, those are things that I would want to get rid of. But potentially I should try to get rid of maybe the heavy cruiser. Hopefully he doesn't have enough trade, and then that protects him from, maybe I trade row block him. But probably not. This is a point where I should actually look at his deck and try to see what's coming up next, see how much potential trade he could have, and then that would help me determine what to get rid of. But instead, I just fucking throw down here and go, oh, get rid of the 2 biggest things, of course. And here I am, so I buy some more trade, buy some more blues. I think that's fine. I don't really have any other plays, and I buy the Spike Pod for more damage. Spike Pod is good because he is going econ. So me getting 2 Spike Pods will allow me to get rid of 4 cards on the trade row potentially, and that's really, really good. I want to control the trade row and keep him from buying big things. Because he's going econ, Spike Pods become a very, very good counter to that. So I think those plays are fine. I think finally I had a turn where I feel like I didn't completely misplay. That being said, what was I trying to accomplish there by throwing the Viper away and getting the Scout? There's no really sort of clear thing to buy, clear thing to do on that turn. So while I don't think it was a misplay per se, there wasn't a very good argument for not just dealing straight damage to him. Because I could always just deal the damage, buy the Explorer, move on. Right? I got lucky in a sense that I was able to clear big things on the trade row with my Spike Pod, and then it revealed things I could actually buy. But most of the time, it's not going to reveal something I can buy because I only have 2 to 3 trade. In all likelihood, it's better just to deal 1 damage and move on. But you sort of gamble. You kind of hope that something good is going to come up. So I think an argument could be made either way, to either just deal the damage, try to get my opponent down, or to try to get an additional trade and see what you could buy. I think it's fine either way. I wouldn't call this a misplay, but I think it's much more even than people would think. It seems very obvious that you'd want to just go for the trade. But I think a better argument could be made that the one extra trade is not helping you very much, and just getting an Explorer and dealing damage might be more relevant. Hard to say. But I definitely misplay on this next one, watch. Alright. So my opponent decides to not kill my orbital platform. Mistake number 1 on their part. At least number 1, maybe even more. And decides to buy the Loyal Colony. Is that a problem? I think a much better play here is you've got 5 trade, right? 2 from the cutter and 3 regular. That still allows you to buy a heavy cruiser, and then you can deal 4 damage with your patrol bot and kill my orbital platform, which I think is a much more dangerous card to leave out. Now granted, I don't have a ton of cards to draw into, but allowing me to continually cycle over and over and over again is a big mistake. The more cycles you give to a better player, the more dangerous that player becomes. So this was to me, this was definitely a mistake on their part. But you see Loyal Colony, you want to buy it. It seems really cool. I think it's another mistake to not try to pick up something like the mining mech, for instance, which would start giving you, which would activate your patrol bot to give you more scrap. Even the heavy cruiser is really good. 4 damage, draw a card, potentially draw a second card. It's a beast. One of my favorite cards. Definitely, maybe even the best, arguably the best 5-drop. But again, just sees the Loyal Colony and goes for it. I think that is a mistake for sure. Loyal Colony, while it's good, has relatively low impact on the game unless it sticks around for a long time. You're not really getting a lot of damage. You're not really getting a lot of healing. You're getting a lot of trade, which is great. You're healing for 9 and you're dealing 3. Like, that's good. Is that worth 7? I mean, you know, it's been an underwhelming card in my experience. It's definitely not a card that flat out wins you the game unless it just goes unchecked for many turns, and it's rare for it to go unchecked for many turns. You know, so its impact on the board, it doesn't do that much to affect your opponent, to make your opponent make tough decisions. But not a terrible play. I think that's probably your 3rd best option. So, in my opinion, a misplay on his part. All right, you want to see a super misplay on our part, though? All right, so I recycled the Scout without checking my deck, without seeing what else was in there, and I miss out on a chance to get a mining mech. A mining mech is so strong, so good. Look at all these big things out here. It gives me 3 trade on 1 card and a scrap. I should have just straight bought it. Like, it's fine. I don't necessarily need to scrap here. My opponent doesn't have any other scrappers that activate. I do. So in theory, I can get a scrap edge even if I wait around a little bit. But I could pick up a mining mech, which would really help me wrap the scrap edge. But more importantly, would finally give me enough econ to buy some of these bigger cards. But instead, I draw into a fucking Viper, scrap the Viper, buy an Explorer, and waste a trade. Terrible. It's 2 misplays in the same hand. Garbage. So I made 4 misplays. My opponent's already made 1, maybe 2, arguably. But still in the game, I guess. Let's check out what my opponent does. Plays 4, heals up, buys that mining. Fucking instant punished. Instant punished. Buys the mining mech that I wanted. Oh, God, terrible. Alright, so let's take a look at what we do here. Alright, so I'm going to play this. Looks like I'm drawing a card first. It's fine. Argument could be made that I'd want to draw the discarded card first. Discard first, see what I draw, then draw second. I don't think it really matters in this case because I got a full deck, but... So of course, I only get 7 trade. So I scrap out the 2 big things, which I think is fine. My opponent is going pretty hard econ strategy. Getting rid of those huge, impactful cards is a good idea. Alright, so let's get rid of cards that we're not going to buy. So I get rid of the Obliterator for some reason. I think I wanted the Heavy Cruiser badly, but I've got 2 frickin' blobs here. Obliterator is great. My opponent could be going bases. You know, I mean, this format, by the way, we're in, the format that we're in is everything but vanilla, the year 1 gambits, and events. So everything else is in play. Oh, I think heroes aren't in play. I take that, I don't know. But anyway, so look what ends up happening is I get rid of a scrapper, right? And I get rid of Obliterator, which arguably could have been a better buy. And I end up buying Heavy Cruiser and Storage Silo, I believe. Yeah, Heavy Cruiser and Storage Silo. I flip a Colony Siege Ship, which is perfect for my opponent. So I don't think that's a terrible play, given I have a lot of blue cards here. Right, so this sort of plays into it. Pretty much have decided it's time to start playing a little bit of a longer game. In the early game, I was like, okay, maybe I can aggro my opponent out. Now I'm not thinking that so much. Like I said, he's got a lot of healing. Yeah, Jesus Christ. So, of course, he snaps up that siege ship. Oops. Sorry about that. Snaps up that siege ship. Yeah, perfectly good play. Right? But plays 3 trade and doesn't buy anything. I think that's fine too. He doesn't need an explorer at this point. And unfortunately, I got nothing. So, what's the play here? Right? I think the best play is probably to buy an Oracle and try to scrap down. I realize I'm pretty far behind. My opponent doesn't actually have that much damage. And the Oracle basically heals for 5, gives me a scrap, potentially deals damage as well. And that's probably the best play. Second best play would be get a gunship, combo it with my yellow cards. Maybe potentially later on Emperor's Dreadnought. Es posible. I think I scrapped that card already, actually. So, there you go. I'll buy the Oracle, no problem. Finally! A turn I did not misplay. Oh, Lord. Okay, so my opponent buys Death World. I realize it's a 7-cost card, but I feel like Death World is really, really bad. Because it requires you to destroy cards that are good that you would actually want to keep in your deck in order to draw cards. So yes, it's a card draw, but it's very conditional card draw that's really bad in most situations. So a lot of times you're just paying 7 mana to deal 4 damage and get a 6-butt base out there. I don't really like that play. I think with his 7 trade, he could have bought a gunship. He could have bought the Frontier Station, which I think is actually a little underrated. I don't think it's good, but I think it's better than most people think. 6-butt base, deal 3 damage, get 2 trade. The flexibility is good. It's a red card. I think that would have been a much better play to buy than to get Death World. You know, he has a lot of health. He should be trying to just protect his health, extend the game, and win the long game. Buying Death World doesn't help him in any of his strategies to win the game. So he reveals the Wrecker. God, it would be nice to pick that up. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades, so I couldn't get the Wrecker anyway. Now, could I have bought that Frontier Station? Yeah. At this point, I'm deciding, though, that I need to take every opportunity to scrap. So I think it's fine. And I would also say that probably buying either Frontier Ferry or Gunship is the way to go. Leaning towards Gunship just because I need to start dealing some damage to him. I do end up buying Gunship, so which I think is fine. I think a very strong argument could be made for Frontier Ferry 2. You know, I could use some heal. I could hopefully maybe try to come back in this game. But I'm not feeling super threatened at 30 life. So I don't think Gunship is a terrible play, but I do think Frontier Ferry is probably the better play. Yeah, I scrap. Yeah, just try to get rid of that Explorer, which is fine. Lord almighty, look at my opponent. That's a card. Buys the Wrecker. This game should be over. Right? This game should be over at this point. If I wasn't playing a guy that I thought I could still beat, I would have conceded already. If I was playing a level 40 player, this would have been over. But I just felt like there was a chance I could win this game. So we're going to play it out, right? Boom. So, best thing to do here, definitely get rid of Factory World. Probably get rid of Frontier Station. An argument could be made to keep it there, but I can't afford it anyway. And I'd rather not let him have it. Yeah. So, you know, good plays. It's fine all around. And I got 2 more scraps. And I scrapped these 2. I guess that's okay. I really shouldn't let my opponent get this border fort and actually allow him to start scrapping. So I end up scrapping both of my spike pods because I needed to kill those bases. I think an argument could be made to just kill the 1 base and not kill the storage silo. Yeah, I realize it's 2 healing every turn, but I'm so far behind. His life total doesn't really matter at this point. It's really more about preserving my life total and getting more bases and getting more stuff out there. So I end up buying the border fort, which I think is fine. let's jump back. It was Loyal Colony, so I definitely needed to kill that. But I really should have taken a look at his hand and seen if it was actually worth it. Because I'm giving up a lot of trade row control at this point. So I don't know. I don't know if that was really worth it or not. So my opponent deals the damage, scraps, yeah, which is fine. I'm very low on life at this point. He should be trying to deal every single point of damage he can. He scrapped 2 cards, and he bought the Warning Beacon. Good play, yeah. And still buys both Warning Beacons. Yeah. I like this play. It's very, very aggressive. He's trying to end the game now. I think it's totally legit to pass up a Met Cruiser at this point and then just go for the gusto, go for the win. He should, So I am reeling at this point. 57-7, I was right. Draw a card, all good. Scrap a card, that's fine. Leaving me with 5 trade, picking up probably the Met Cruiser. I think an argument could have been made to not scrap this card and buy the Federation Shipyard, or to buy both of these guys and try to get some healing next turn. What do I end up doing? Oh, I do buy that. Okay, never mind. See, then I scrap, and I don't allow myself to get a trade hauler, which would have given me more healing and more trade, which I could have used about other stuff. So I don't know if that scrap was really worth it. Like, yeah, you always want to scrap. Yeah, I'm about to cycle and get a scrap. But at this point, it's like I just need to stay alive, and a trade hauler would really help me stay alive, and I didn't buy it. I think you could argue that that was a mistake too, so I don't know. Like, there's another fucking mistake in this game, but what am I up to? 6 now? So he should definitely scrap with Death World to try to get lethal here. And he doesn't. I don't know why. He could have scrapped Stellar Reef to deal 3 damage to me, and then Death World potentially could have drawn him lethal. He didn't do it. Major mistake number 1. Or, major mistake number 1. Number 3 on 3 on mistakes overall. So I traded my Scout. I don't need a Scout at this point. Heavy Cruiser comes down, draws me 2 cards. Alright, I get some healing. This is good. I can stay alive. We're going to scrap that Scout, right? Try to deal as much damage as we can. Kill everything. Okay, so one of the things that you could say here, let's back it up for just a sec. So let's take a look at the play of this hand. Alright, so we throw that out. We draw 2 cards. Okay, so let's pause right here. I've got 3, 5, 6 trade, right? I'm scrapping, and then I'm going to play these 2 to heal up. Well, this heals me for 6. It looks like I'm actually going to buy a Merc Cruiser. So arguments could be made here to go Patrol Cutter, Trade Hauler, which would heal me for 7, assuming you buy them. This heals me for 6 and allows me to top deck things, which I think is more impactful. So I think it's actually better to scrap the Viper, because I'm still going to deal 9, kill both of these things, and buy the Federation Shipyard. What do I end up doing here? Okay, so not bad. I mean, this is not a mistake per se. It's another line of thinking, and I think it's fine to get extra healing. But I think the Federation Shipyard was probably better. Being able to top deck things and then draw them later is super powerful. Whereas just healing for 7, it's 1 less heal. I'm getting a 6-bud base too, which I think is probably more impactful. So I would argue this was a mistake as well. The 1 extra damage is negligible. Alright, so fucking A, look at this. My opponent's up to 61. Oh, it's even worse than I thought. What did he buy? So he buys the, see, punished again. He buys the Shipyard when I could have. Yeah, that's really too bad. Now I'm down to 6. Oh, so 61-6 was the worst. I thought 57-7 was the worst. I was wrong. So I recycle the Scout, fine. Draw a card, fine. Got 7 out there. Met Cruiser. So arguments could be made that I should have bought the Customs Frigate, because that has an immediate impact. You buy a card, you top deck it, you draw it, you can play it. Whereas Mech Cruiser, it allows me to destroy bases, and my opponent does have a lot of bases, which is nice. It is a scrapper. That's nice. I don't know if it has the sort of game-saving potential that Custom Frigate has, but I think it's fine. I wouldn't call this a mistake. I would just say I shouldn't have bought it so quickly. There's reasons to think about and buy other things. Imperial Trader is another example of a card that might be good. You know, being able to deal 4 damage, draw a card, etc. That's very nice. I think Mech Cruiser is still the best play here, but I think it's much, much, much closer between this and Customs Frigate. Nice. Good play on my part. Ah, see, look at this. Central Station comes out. Now, I am gunning for this card. I've got so many bases at this point. Getting the draw, getting the heal. This card is ridiculous. I would love to have it. So let's see what my opponent does here. And this is another mistake that my opponent has made. Ignoring the creation of my deck. My deck is very much base heavy, draw card heavy, blue heavy. Like, I'm going to try to heal up now. So he should be buying Central Station to keep it away from me, because he knows that this card could become a linchpin of my deck. But he doesn't. He sees the Imperial Trader and just snaps it up. And you notice what's happening now is he's starting to not have enough damage to kill all of my bases. So I can start coming back now. Boom, down to 10. Heal up to 12. Alright, we draw some cards. Immediately Central Station. I knew how important that was. I knew how good that was going to be in this deck. Buying a scrapper, totally fine. And bought another base. So, the reason you would want to buy this base here, yes, it uses all your trade, which is typically a good thing. But the other reason to do it is my opponent has proven that they are prone to making mistakes. By playing that base, maybe they kill that base when they should lethal me. So guess what? Look at this. 12. I'm dead. I am fully ready to concede this game. But I knew my opponent had made many mistakes until this point. So now I'm thinking, well, shit. Maybe they'll misplay. Boom. Sure enough. 58-3. I should be dead. I should be dead. Let's take a look at what happens now. Oracle, scrap, looking good. Play out everything. Buy the Imperial Palace, right? Big butt, draws a card, makes my opponent discard. Good play. I healed up for a crap ton. Destroyed his base to deal 12 damage. So, I think this was another mistake. I'm not out of the woods by any means. Having that extra 4 heal would have been really helpful. Yes, destroying that base is important, but my opponent's life total doesn't really matter at this point. I'm not trying to kill them now. I'm trying to kill them over the long haul. Basically, I'm just trying to survive, and chip away. So what good is it to throw away 4 healing every turn just to destroy this one base early? I had enough damage to kill the base, so there's another misplay on my part. So I get a little lucky here that my opponent really just didn't have that much damage, had cheap bases that I could kill. And then I drew the whammy. Double 7-drop yellow base. Oh god, it's so sexy, it's so nice. Alright. Threw away the Vipe. Try to draw another card. Look at that. All this healing. This is spectacular for us now. We've healed up to 20. We destroy all their bases. See? And then we bought that Customs Frigate again. Like I said before, it has immediate impact in the game. It's worth buying. We bought another base. We're just playing into our base strategy now. We've got 12. We've got 32 effective at this point. We're back in this game. My opponent tosses a scout, heals up, plays Death World. So you see what happens. Look at what happens. He has 10 trade and 14 attack. But that's not enough. That's not even enough to kill all my bases. So my opponent has over-econned. He's got too many cards that have trade but don't deal damage. So he's never dealing enough damage to get through my bases. So now I'm starting to set up a wall. Alright. Buys a bunch of unnecessary stuff. Like he's just buying trade. Buys a central station, which is smart to keep it away from me, but he's just continuing to buy econ when he doesn't need it. This is just mistake after mistake on my opponent's part now. Alright, play the bases, draw the card, looking good. Oh, look at this. Boom. Tossing a card, killing that, killing that. Use the base destruction. Just bought another base. I mean, at this point, I'm just snapping up every base I can. Argument could be made to maybe not do that at this point. It's not really necessary, but I did buy a base, you know. It's a trade wheel. It does deal damage. It soaks up 5. It's not a terrible play, but I think an argument could be made at this point to just, you don't need it. Maybe it bloats your deck. So, look, there you go. My opponent has a lot of healing, but just not a lot of damage. Capital World comes out. So unfortunately, I'm just forced to cycle at this point. Now this is weird. Look what I end up doing. I draw all this stuff. I buy Capital World. But notice, I used combat to destroy a fighter base. Why did I do that? Well, because this has a base destruction effect, so I actually wanted to destroy this. So now we are super set up. Destroy all his bases, shoot him in the face. We want to give him no opportunities to come back in this game. And so, see, here we go again. Yes, these cards make me discard, which is potentially bad, right? But they're only doing 2 damage each. This is only doing 5. And they're weighted cards. There was no need to buy these cards. He could have bought way other things, or just not bought anything and trusted his deck and scrapped down. Unfortunately, he bloats his deck now, and like I said, he's got a million trade, but it doesn't really do anything anymore. You know? Look, he can't even destroy, he only destroys, you know, my outpost, and that's it. I've got all these things waiting in the wings. Now he's just buying whatever the fuck he can, right? Oh, defense bot, oh god. That's exactly what I need from my deck, right? So I threw everything away. I kept all the trade and the healing. There's nothing really for me to scrap right now, so that's why I threw away the scrappers. Really all I'm trying to do is just draw, draw, draw. Toss the Viper to draw another card, play the Imperial Palace, drew another card, play that, get the cards, buy that for sure. And now look what happens here. I scrap the Bioformer, I don't need it anymore. I buy the Stellar Reef, because it's another base. And that's it, and I pass. I just replaced one base with another, but that base will allow me to then deal 3 damage later on. So, yes, the Bioformer will do damage over time, but in this case, I really was just trying to buy all the bases I possibly could, keep everything away from him, and leave him only econ. But still a mistake. I should have just kept the Bioformer. If he buys the Stellar Reef, so what? So, again, another misplay on my part. Like, how do I win this game? Like, there's no reason I should have won this game. Given all the mistakes I made, a better player would have exploited me and won this game. Nope. You know, the hands kind of start playing themselves after a while. So here's another weird play where he scraps 2 cards and then traps these cards here. Yeah. See? Another, like, why? And now he can top deck anything? So what does he top deck here? He top decks the Trade Hauler. See, the thing is, once he plays this, he could have bought the Trade Hauler, put it on top, then played these 2 and drawn the Trade Hauler. You know, I think he just wanted to cycle and see what he got. So I don't know if that's terrible, but why the Trade Hauler? I mean, why not the Mining Mech? You know, top deck something so you can scrap something, get it out of your hand. I guess he was trying to heal up, maybe? I don't know. I don't know, like at this point his plays are meaningless because I'm just throttling him. And I believe this is ball game now. Yep, there it is. And that's game. You know, my opponent missed lethal twice. So even though I made pretty significant mistakes, you miss lethal twice, you're probably going to lose. Now, I'm not saying I'm a good player. Certainly not based on the evidence of this game. I've played much better in other games, but I thought this game was really, really instructional and indicative of just slow down and think about your plays. I mean, all these plays, all these mistakes that I made were just mistakes of going too fast and not really paying attention and not really thinking about the game and just assuming I'd already lost and not really trying to figure out every single possible way you can to win the game. So remember, guys, you're never out until you're dead. Always play slowly, think about your plays, and make the most optimal play every single time. And that's how you're going to win, and that's how you're going to get better. So guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate you watching this video. Keep learning, keep rocking, and the Rockstar will see you later. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you want to see the newest videos, you can click here. If you want to see a recommended playlist, you can click here. And if you'd like to subscribe, you can click right here. Thank you so much, guys. Keep learning, keep rocking. The Rockstar will see you later.